Let me ask you something that's going to completely change how you think about attraction. Have you ever noticed that the women men can't stop pursuing, the ones they call back over and over, the ones they choose above everyone else, they're not doing what you think they're doing. In fact, they're doing the complete opposite of what most dating advice tells you to do. While you've been taught to be available, understanding, and always there for him, the women men chase relentlessly have mastered one simple boundary that flips the entire dynamic. What if I told you that the very thing you think will push him away is actually what makes him pursue you with an intensity he's never felt before? This isn't about playing games. It's not about being cold or distant. In fact, this boundary is the opposite. It's about unlocking a side of you that men find completely irresistible. Because here's the truth. Nobody wants to tell you. Men don't chase women who are always chasing them. They chase women who make them work for something rare, something special, something they can't get anywhere else. In this video, I'm going to reveal the one boundary that transforms you from someone he likes having around to someone he can't imagine losing. Not someone he texts when he's bored, but someone he prioritizes above everything and everyone else. If you stay until the end, I'll show you exactly how to set this boundary without seeming cold, and I'll share the psychology behind why it works so powerfully that he'll never want to stop chasing you. So grab a coffee, turn off those notifications, and stay with me, because what you're about to learn has the power to transform your love life forever. Here's something most women never realize. Men don't actually want what they think they want. Ask any man what he's looking for in a relationship, and he'll probably tell you someone sweet, understanding, always there for him, someone who makes his life easier and never causes problems. But watch what happens when he actually finds that woman, and you'll see something completely different. The woman who's always available becomes predictable. The woman who always understands becomes boring. The woman who makes his life easier becomes invisible. Why does this happen? Because attraction isn't logical. It's emotional. And emotions don't thrive on comfort and predictability. They thrive on mystery, challenge, and yes, even a little uncertainty. You see, men are biologically wired to pursue, not in a harmful way, but in a psychological way that goes back thousands of years. Their brains light up when they're chasing something valuable that isn't guaranteed. It's the same mechanism that makes them work harder for a job they have to interview for multiple times versus one that's just handed to them. The same psychology that makes them treasure the championship they fought for more than the participation trophy they received for showing up. But here's where most women get it completely wrong. They think making a man chase means being cold, mean, or playing games. They think it means ignoring his texts for 3 days or pretending they don't care about him at all. That's not pursuit, that's confusion. And confusion doesn't create attraction, it creates frustration and makes him want to give up. Real pursuit happens when a man feels like he's earning something precious, not losing something he thought he had. When he feels like your attention, your time, your affection are valuable gifts that he gets to receive, not automatic rights that he's entitled to. When he knows that you choosing to be with him is an active decision you make every single day, not a passive default you fell into because you had nothing better to do. And there's one boundary that creates this dynamic more powerfully than anything else. One simple shift that makes him see you as the prize he wants to win, not the consolation he's settled for. Most dating advice is built on a lie. The lie that says if you're sweet enough, giving enough, available enough, he'll naturally want to commit to you. If you just love him hard enough, he'll realize how amazing you are and never want to let you go. But here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to admit. Being available doesn't create desire. It actually destroys it. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever been with someone who was so eager to please you, so constantly available, so predictable in their affection that you started taking them for granted? Maybe, without even meaning to, you stopped appreciating their efforts because you knew they'd always be there no matter what. It's human nature. We value what we have to work for, and we lose respect for what comes too easily. But somehow, when it comes to our own love lives, we forget this basic truth about human psychology. We make ourselves endlessly available, thinking it shows love. We drop our own plans when he calls, thinking it shows we care. We accept last-minute dates and late-night texts, thinking it shows we're understanding. And slowly, without realizing what's happening, we train him to see our time, our attention, and our affection as something he can access anytime without any effort. And when that happens, something shifts in his mind. You go from being a woman he's pursuing to someone who's already been caught. You go from being a prize he's trying to win to a comfort zone he's settled into. The chase ends not because he got you, but because he stopped having to work to keep you. This is why so many relationships start with incredible passion and excitement and then slowly fade into comfortable routine. It's not that the love dies, it's that the pursuit dies. And without pursuit, attraction becomes stagnant. The spark fades, the excitement disappears. He stops making an effort because he doesn't feel like he needs to anymore. But here's what's incredible about understanding this psychology. Once you know how it works, you can change everything. You can reignite that chase. You can become the woman he never stops pursuing, even years into the relationship. You can transform from someone he takes for granted into someone he's constantly trying to impress. And it all starts with one boundary that most women are absolutely terrified to set because they think it will push him away. But in reality, it's the very thing that pulls him closer. Here it is, the boundary that changes everything. And I want you to pay very close attention because this might be the most important thing you ever learn about creating lasting attraction. Never be more invested in the relationship than he is. Let me say that again. Never be more invested in the relationship than he is. This sounds simple, but when you truly understand what it means, it revolutionizes everything about how you approach love and dating. Because most women, without even realizing it, become more invested in making the relationship work than the man does. You spend more mental energy thinking about where things are going. You put more effort into creating connection. You worry more about his feelings than he worries about yours. You're the one checking in when he's having a bad day. You're the one remembering important things in his life. You're the one making sure he feels loved and supported. Meanwhile, he's comfortable knowing that no matter what he does or doesn't do, you'll be there. No matter how much or how little effort he puts in, you'll make up the difference. No matter how he treats you, you'll keep prioritizing the relationship. When you're more invested than he is, you create an imbalance that slowly kills attraction. He becomes comfortable in your pursuit of him. He stops wondering if you'll stick around because your actions have already answered that question. He stops trying to impress you because he can see you're already impressed. He stops working to win your heart because he feels like he already has it. But when you set this boundary, when you match his level of investment instead of exceeding it, everything shifts. Suddenly, he realizes that your love, your attention, your commitment aren't automatic, they're earned. And things that have to be earned are infinitely more valuable than things that are freely given. This doesn't mean you stop caring about him or the relationship. It means you care about it exactly as much as he does, no more, no less. It doesn't mean you become cold or distant. It means you become balanced, equal. It means you stop being the only one fighting for the relationship and start requiring him to fight for it too. And here's what happens when you do this. He starts chasing you in ways you never experienced before. Because now, instead of feeling like he has you locked down, he feels like he's constantly earning you. Instead of taking you for granted, he starts appreciating what he has. Instead of getting comfortable, he stays on his toes. This boundary creates what psychologists call scarcity, not artificial scarcity where you pretend to be busy or unavailable, but real scarcity where your investment is actually limited and precious. And scarcity creates desire in ways that abundance never can. Now, let me explain the psychology behind why this boundary is so incredibly powerful, because understanding the why will help you implement it with confidence. Deep down, men are wired to pursue what has value. And value in human psychology is determined by scarcity and effort required. Think about it. A man will work months to get a promotion because it's difficult to achieve and not everyone can have it. But that same man might take for granted a job that was simply handed to him because it required no effort and felt too easy. The same principle applies to relationships. When your love, your time, your energy are freely available, without him having to earn them. His brain categorizes them as less valuable. It's not conscious. It's not intentional. It's just how human psychology works. We appreciate what we have to work for, and we take for granted what comes without effort. But when you match his investment level, you create something different. You create a dynamic where he has to continually earn your attention, your affection, your commitment. And that effort makes everything more valuable in his mind. There's another psychological principle at work here called the commitment escalation theory. The more effort someone puts into achieving something, the more committed they become to it. When a man has to consistently show up, be present, and invest energy to keep you interested, he becomes more and more invested in the relationship. His effort creates his attachment. But here's the part most women miss. This boundary doesn't just change his behavior. It fundamentally changes how you show up in the relationship. Ionship. When you're not more invested than he is, you stop being anxious about where things are going. You stop overanalyzing every text message. You stop walking on eggshells, afraid that one wrong move will push him away. Instead, you become grounded in your own worth. You know that if he chooses to leave, it's not because you weren't good enough. It's because he wasn't ready for something real. This confidence is magnetic because it signals emotional security. And men are naturally drawn to women who feel secure in themselves because security is rare and attractive. When you're equally invested, you also start responding authentically to his efforts. If he puts in genuine effort to see you, plan thoughtful dates, and prioritize your feelings, you naturally respond with warmth and investment. But if he's giving minimal effort while expecting maximum returns, your energy instinctively becomes less available. This isn't playing games. This is emotional intelligence in action. Here's what happens in his mind during this shift. He starts to notice that your attention and affection aren't automatic anymore. He realizes that to get your best energy, he needs to bring his best energy. Suddenly, you become a woman worth impressing, not someone who's impressed by the bare minimum. Men respect women who respect themselves. And respect is the foundation that lasting attraction is built on. Without respect, relationships become one-sided and eventually fall apart. With respect, they become magnetic and sustainable. The most powerful part of this boundary is that you stop being afraid of losing him because you're not willing to lose yourself to keep him. That fearlessness is intoxicating to men because it's so rare. Most women they encounter are afraid of being abandoned, so they abandon themselves first. But when you refuse to do that, when you hold your ground and require equal investment, it communicates something incredible. You know your worth, and you won't accept anything less. Let's be honest about something most dating advice won't tell you. There are very clear signs when a man is genuinely chasing you versus when he's just keeping you around for convenience and entertainment. And learning to recognize the difference will save you from wasting months or years on someone who was never really pursuing you at all. When a man is truly chasing you, his actions are consistent and reliable. He doesn't just text you when he's bored at midnight. He reaches out during the day because you genuinely crossed his mind. He doesn't just make plans with you when he has nothing else going on. He actively prioritizes time with you because being around you has become important to him. Real pursuit shows up in the details. He remembers things you mentioned weeks ago and brings them up later. He notices when something's bothering you and actually asks about it. He goes out of his way to make you smile, not just when he wants something from you, but because your happiness has become genuinely important to him. You'll also see it in how he talks about the future. A man who's chasing you starts including you in his plans naturally. Not just this weekend, but next month, next season. He talks about things he wants to show you, places he wants to take you, experiences he wants to share with you. His future starts to include you without you having to push for it. But here's one of the most telling signs. He fights for your attention when other things compete for it. If you're busy with work, friends, or personal goals, a man who's pursuing you doesn't get annoyed or distant. He respects your priorities while making it clear that he wants to be part of your world, not the center of it. He understands that you have a life outside of him, and that actually makes him want you more. On the other hand, a man who's not really chasing you will show completely different patterns. His effort will be sporadic and unpredictable. He'll be super attentive when he wants something and then disappear or become distant when he doesn't. He'll expect you to always be available for him, but won't offer the same availability in return. He'll be comfortable with giving minimal effort because he knows from experience that you'll accept it. He won't fight for your attention because he assumes it's always there waiting for him. And he definitely won't include you in future plans because he's not thinking long term about the relationship at all. Here's the beautiful thing about the boundary we discussed earlier. When you refuse to be more invested in the relationship than he is, it automatically filters out these men. Men who aren't serious about you will naturally fade away because they can't get what they want with minimal effort anymore. They'll move on to someone who will accept their low effort approach. But the men who are genuinely interested, they'll step up, they'll match your energy and your standards. They'll prove through consistent action that you're worth pursuing properly. This boundary doesn't push good men away. It makes them fight harder to keep you. This is how you stop attracting men who want convenience and start attracting men who want commitment. This is how you go from being someone's maybe to being someone's priority. Now let's talk about the mistakes that sabotage everything we've discussed. These are the subtle ways women undermine their own power without even realizing they're doing it. And they're often the reason attraction fades and emotional connection starts to break down. The biggest mistake is being inconsistent with your boundary. You start strong, matching his energy and maintaining your standards, but then he shows you a little extra attention, sends a sweet text, or has one good date with you, and you immediately drop your guard. You pour all your investment back into the relationship, thinking things have changed. But this actually teaches him that your boundaries aren't real. They're just temporary obstacles he can overcome with minimal effort when he feels like it. Another critical mistake is explaining or defending your boundary. The moment you start justifying why you need to be treated well, why you deserve respect, or why you can't always be available, you've already lost the power dynamic. Boundaries aren't debates or discussions. They're simply standards that you live by. You don't explain why you deserve to be treated with respect. You simply require it through your actions and your energy. Many women also make the mistake of using this boundary as punishment or manipulation. They withdraw their energy specifically to teach him a lesson or to make him chase them more. But men can sense the difference between authentic boundary and manipulative games. Authentic boundaries feel stable, secure, and consistent. Manipulative boundaries feel chaotic, unpredictable, and controlling. There's also the mistake of only applying this boundary when you're upset or angry. You maintain your own emotional investment when things are good between you, but only pull back when he's done something wrong. This makes the boundary feel reactive instead of proactive, like you're punishing him rather than protecting yourself. True boundaries are consistent regardless of his behavior. Another common error is thinking this boundary means you can never show vulnerability, express your feelings, or be emotionally available. That's not what this is about at all. You can still be warm, loving, supportive, and emotionally open. The key is that your emotional availability matches his level of investment rather than constantly exceeding it. Many women also make the mistake of hoping this boundary will magically transform a man who's fundamentally not interested in a committed relationship. Boundaries aren't tools for convincing someone to love you or for changing someone who doesn't want to be in a serious relationship. They're tools for attracting people who are already capable of loving you properly and treating you well. Finally, there's the mistake of abandoning this boundary the moment you feel like you really like him or when you start falling for him. The more you care about someone, the more important it becomes to maintain your standards, not less important. The right man will respect your boundaries even more as the relationship deepens, because he'll understand that you're someone who values herself too much to settle for less than she deserves Understanding these mistakes helps you implement this boundary authentically and consistently, which is when it becomes truly powerful in creating the kind of lasting attraction and respect you want. Let me give you a practical roadmap for implementing this boundary starting today, because understanding the concept means nothing without knowing how to live it. First, start with awareness. For the next week, simply observe your current patterns. Notice when you're putting more energy into his feelings than your own. Notice when you're more worried about his comfort than yours. Notice when you're more invested in the relationship working than he seems to be. Just observe without judgment. Second, begin matching energy instead of leading it. If he texts you with enthusiasm and genuine interest, match that energy. If he sends lazy, low-effort messages, don't try to compensate with extra enthusiasm. Simply match what you receive. This isn't being cold, it's being authentic to what's actually happening between you. Third, maintain your own emotional priorities. If you're stressed about work, don't pretend everything is fine just to make him comfortable. If you're excited about a personal achievement, don't downplay it to keep the focus on him. Your feelings matter just as much as his, and your energy should reflect that. Fourth, protect your time and availability. Stop dropping your plans every time he wants to see you. Stop being available at all hours just because he might need something. Have a life that exists independently of him, and protect that life as fiercely as you'd protect anything valuable. Fifth, require reciprocity. If you check in on him during stressful times, expect the same consideration. If you remember details about his life, expect him to remember details about yours. If you prioritize his needs, expect him to prioritize yours. Don't settle for one side. Did emotional investment. Sixth, trust your instincts. If something feels off, don't dismiss that feeling to keep the peace. If you need something from the relationship, don't pretend you don't to avoid conflict. Your emotional intelligence is valuable. Use it. Finally, be prepared to walk away. This boundary only works if you're genuinely willing to leave a relationship that doesn't honor your worth. That doesn't mean you're looking for reasons to leave. It means you're not afraid to leave if staying requires you to abandon yourself. Start implementing these steps gradually. You don't need to transform overnight, but every small change moves you toward becoming the woman men can't stop pursuing. As we reach the end of this conversation, I want you to understand something profound. This boundary isn't just about getting a man to chase you. It's about becoming the woman who naturally inspires pursuit because she honors her own worth. The women men can't forget, can't replace, and can't stop thinking about aren't necessarily the most beautiful or the most accomplished. They're the women who understand their value and require others to recognize it too. When you stop being more invested in his feelings than your own, you don't become cold or distant. You become magnetic. You become the woman who chooses love instead of chasing it. You become someone worth fighting for because you fight for yourself. This boundary will filter your life in ways you can't imagine. The wrong men will naturally fall away because they can't meet your standards. The right men will step up because they recognize something rare when they see it. You'll stop having relationships where you're constantly anxious about where you stand because you'll know exactly where you stand. You'll stop wondering if you're good enough because you'll know you are. You'll stop accepting crumbs of attention because you'll know you deserve the whole meal. Remember this, a man who truly wants to be in your life will prove it through consistent action, not intermittent interest. He'll pursue you, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you're actually hard to get. There's a difference, and that difference is everything. Your worth is not negotiable. Your boundaries are not suggestions. Your emotional well-being is not less important than anyone else's. When you truly believe this and live from this,